Hey guys, Tomboy61, and today we have a review of the campaign ship, the Champagne, the Champagne. Time to pop some bottles and take a drink because you're gonna need it probably while playing this one. It's an interesting ship. It's not terrible. It's also just not my favorite. We'll get into all of it. We'll go ahead, talk the stats, talk the build, talk the modules, and show off a game in it. But before we do, let's go ahead and talk comment of the day. Comment of the day goes out to someone who leaves a comment on one of our previous videos. Today's comment of the day goes out to Big Killa. He says, at least 12 camos and not 10 like the Warhammer boxes. They look much better. And yes, I totally forgot about how Warhammer only gave you 10 for the consolidation prize camos. And then you'd go to make a perma camo and be like, you don't have enough, loser. At least now they're giving us enough to make a perma camo. And hey, small improvements. We'll take what we can get from Wargaming sometimes. You know what I mean? Anyways, Champagne. It's while you're here. Of course, it is the current campaign ship. Ship was provided to me by Wargaming, so that does make this video sort of sponsored by Wargaming, I guess you could say. They provided it to me for review purposes. They do take it away at the end of the week. So if I want it, I have to spend my money to re-earn it, just like everyone else. Let's go ahead and dive on in to those to the stats now. Hit points, it has 52,600, which is the lowest amount of any tier 7 battleship. So yeah, lowest amount there. Armor between 18 and 430. We'll go ahead and take a look at the armor view now. And as we can see, the majority of the ship is covered in 32 millimeter armor, which is both a blessing and a curse. Of course, 32 millimeters means you can go ahead and, if you're angled correctly, withstand 16-inch guns, which are a lot of what you will see at tier 7 as far as the upper end. Pretty much everything except Yamato, you'll be able to bounce, ricochet, and otherwise not overmatch from. Bad news is, if you look, everywhere is 32 millimeters. So if you are angled incorrectly, you are going to get punched, and you are going to get punched really, really hard, because guess what? 32 millimeters is not a lot of armor. The only place that has actual thick armor is going to be on the guns. Like, it is not the ship you want to be messing around with. And as far as Citadel goes, just barely at waterline, so at least it's not sticking up, but you still are going to take some massive hits if you don't angle yourself correctly. Torpedo reduction on the ship, 28%. Next, let's go ahead and talk main battery. You have two 3-barreled guns that are 406 millimeters, aka 16 inches. Firing range on them, 17.5 kilometers, which is upper average for the battleships. It turns out a lot of battleships have the long range like this one does. Reload time on them, 28.6 seconds. And the slowest shells per minute of any tier 7 battleship at 12 per minute. Of course, you have very few barrels, so that means you're going to have very few rounds going down range. 180 time on them, though, blistering quick for a battleship at only 25.7 seconds. HE damage, 6,100, giving you the lowest DPM for HE at 73,200. Though in a balancing factor, the chance of fire on those HE shells very high at 49%. AP damage is pretty far up there, 12,100 per shell. But once again, because you have so few shells, you have the lowest damage per minute at only 145,200 DPM when firing AP. So overall, this is the lowest DPM battleship there is in the game. Secondaries, you have two sets of secondaries, 12 2-barreled 100 millimeters and 3 3-barreled 152s. They both have a range of 4.5 kilometers. Reload time 4 and 12 seconds respectively, with the max damage being 2,200. Fire chance on them is between 6 and 12% depending on the shell. AA range, well, you have a 5-kilometer maximum AA range. Minimum damage, the minimum damage at that 5-kilometer is going to be 107 damage per second, with, as they approach the ship, maxing out to 185 damage per second. She is the fastest ship at the tier, 34 knots, with a turning radius of 850 meters and a rudder shift time of 15.5 seconds. Finally, detectability by sea is 14.7, detectability by air 12.3, and detectability in smoke 14.9. As far as my loadout goes, the mods that I'm currently running, in mod slot 1, I'm running Aiming Systems mod 1. In slot 2, I'm running steering gear, so I think a argument could be made for propulsion mod. We'll get into the kind of playstyle of this ship. You can, of course, run target acquisition mod. I just don't feel like spending the money on this ship to go ahead and run it when it's not going to really affect your gameplay very much, especially because it's all about increasing like RGA. And if you're that close to a destroyer, things have already gone topside for you. You're already in massive danger. And finally, the mod slot 3, I have main battery mod 3 to increase that main battery reload time. Commander that I am currently running is Jean Jard. Inspirations currently, I have Otto Ciliax and Andrew Cunningham just to boost the accuracy as much as possible. This is a very accurate ship, and I just don't want to take any sort of chances. His base trait is going to increase the battleship's AP penetration. Then if we go ahead and look what skills, I have Flammable Cannoneer, which increases the main battery range and shell grouping for your battleship, but increases the chance of catching fire for any ship. Then I have Gyrating Drill Bits, which increases the main battery traverse speed and AP shell damage of your battleship at the cost of decreased maximum speed. Then I have Marksmanship. I was kind of turning it on and off between it and Megalomania, just because I love the ability to drop spot, and you are going to want to do that in this ship. But right now, I think I had more success really with Marksmanship, so that's the one I've been preferring to run. In the last of the non-legendary skills, I have Reaching Out XXL just to increase that range that little bit more. And of course, I'm running Will to Rebuild. With all of that said, consumables for this ship, she does have a full lot of consumables. She has that basic damage control party. Consumable duration is going to be 15 seconds with a reload time of 80 seconds. Repair party, it's going to repair 335 damage per second with a length of 22.4 seconds, reload time 40 seconds, and we have 3 charges of it. She does get a catapult fighter. She can go ahead and switch that out for either the spotter plane or the enhanced secondary spotting. I went ahead and was switching out between catapult fighter and the spotter plane. I think I was mainly preferring spotter plane just to once again increase the ability of this thing to hit things. Fighter plane can also be useful just as sort of a spotter, because there will be times where you want to be able to see over some islands, and it can be helpful then. And finally, the ship does have an engine boost. Max speed on it is it increases your max speed by 8%. It's going to last 180 seconds with a reload time of 180 seconds, and you do get 2 charges of that. With all of that, let's go ahead and go over the now revised stats of the build. Basically, we really did focus on those main batteries because that's all you really have with this ship. New range is going to be 19.3 kilometers with a reload time of 25.2 seconds. 180 time has been slowed down, but you can easily keep up with the ship rotating at 26.1 seconds. And then AP damage has been boosted to 13,189. Finally, our max speed did take a little bit of a hit. It is now down to 31.4 knots. With all of that said, let's now go ahead and talk about the history of the ship. And while Champagne, not a real ship. She's basically based off of the Gascon, which didn't really launch. Only about 6% of the Gascon's materials were ever made. And by the time that Jean Bart cleared the dry dock and they were going to start laying down and working on Gascon, the war happened, and the dockyards were taken over and Germany invaded, and they basically did not make the Gascon. Champagne is an upgraded version of the Gascon. Essentially, it's the next ship of the line, as if that project continued down the lines in a theoretical place where the Russians, I believe, is what I was picking up on one of the Discords, where there was some sort of basically Russian guns on this French battleship, which just feels weird, but hey, that's where we are right now. That's sort of the history. And with all of that said, let's go ahead and talk through a game in the Champagne. Yes, that rhymes. That's fun. So, Champagne, kind of an interesting ship. I will be honest, I am not a huge fan of her, and I've been debating whether to buy the Admiralty backing. That's where I am with her. Her playstyle is one that I am not in love with, and the fact that she has, for her to be effective, you need to show broadside. If you show broadside, you will get hurt bad. So your only real recourse then is to hide off in obscure places and pull and get ships in crossfires. But to do that, you need very good map knowledge, and you kind of need to be stealthy. And a fun fact about this ship is when you fire your guns, if the detection range by plane is over 20 kilometers. So basically, if anyone has a plane up when you fire your guns, you are going to be spotted. Of course, we do get a beautiful first salvo there, though. Vlad and Grosser Kernfust sailing side by side. So whoever we didn't hit, we hit the other, and we did decent for our first salvo. That is the bright side of the ship, 16-inch guns, very long range, and incredibly accurate, especially when you build for accuracy. As you can see there, that's a lot better than you would expect at almost 18 kilometers. But that's another thing, is you need to be able to hit your shots and hope no one is really angled in towards you, because if they are, you get hurt. Anyways, Yamato has a clean shot with its rear guns, and you can see what happens if you make a mistake in this thing. We showed a little bit too much broadside to Yamato. Of course, he could overmatch us, but that was one turret hit right there, and that took out 60% of our health. Champagne is very much a glass cannon. She's a very fast glass cannon, but she's a glass cannon. Anyways, we now are going to go ahead and set up in this little spot over here, and we see Vlad and Grosser Kernfust are staying nose in towards our teammates. So we now have a crossfire, and we go ahead and start hitting these guys. Vlad takes a massive hit. Not 100% from us. We get a little damage, but I do not think we did that sort of damage to him. The one thing I have to one of the things I have to say about Champagne is it is not an active ship. It is not designed for you to push. You are not affecting the battle, really. You are exploiting the battle. If an enemy goes ahead and pushes too far in, you can then go ahead and punish them. If they make those mistakes, you go ahead and punish them. But you are a reactive player in the Champagne. You are not an active player in the Champagne. And that's why I'm not a huge fan of it. It is not a terrible ship by any means. But the fact that you're already dealing with the lowest DPM ship for battleships in the game, and then if you want to properly angle so that you are protected from the majority of ships, you are then cutting that DPM in half. It's a big ask. And yes, you can get beautiful hits like that right there, where we take 13,000 from the Vlad from a Citadel, because we have huge guns and we can punch through the armor of other ships. But you just know that it's just rough. Anyways, Grosser Kern first went down. Vlad is still broadside, and he's no longer paying attention to us. We are spotted, of course, and we're just going to go ahead and keep pounding him away. That is one of the other issues with Champagne, is you're going to be spotted a lot, and when you're spotted, there aren't, yes, you can outrange some ships, but you don't outrange enough of ships to where you really feel a benefit to the long range. What you do have is excellent dispersion in the ship, which will serve you well if you can hit your shots. Cabot Khabarovsk coming around the corner here. And we're going to go ahead, start lining up our shots, and then switch over to HE once we get these shells out of the way. Waiting for him to make the turn. And look at that beautiful dispersion, man. Like, you could not ask for a better set of dispersion right there. We go ahead, switch on over to HE, because we have a feeling he's probably going to go ahead and lay torps coming our way. And we're just waiting on those guns to reload. We do have really quick, the Champagne does have really good maneuverability, really quick. It's a really quick ship. It does almost feel like a battle cruiser in a way, with just how quickly it can move, and the fact that the turrets traverse so well, and it has such good firepower. It's just, you just get punished too hard, I think. For me, the way it's all balanced. Oh, and look at that. 3 destroyers go ahead, pop up. We take another large citadel on the, or we take another large hit on the side. This time from the Vlad, and it is time for us to get on out of there. We pop our engine boost, and we're moving Kagero. And as we can see there's still some dispersion with this, and we miss every single shot with Kagero. But we're going to go ahead, push forward, figure it's safer for us out with the destroyers than broadsided to that Vlad. At least with the destroyers, we have a chance to go ahead and shoot them, and it looks like the majority of them have gone ahead and shot out their shots. HE is loaded. Alabama sitting broadside. If we had AP, it would have been a little bit better, but HE is out, and HE is fairly respectable on this ship. Like, right there, we just get 2 fires, and I think there is an argument for running Champagne as a fire burner. Like, there's a weird way I think it could work for you, just because you have a 49%, you have the 49% base AP or HE chance to set a fire. Of course, when you're shooting against tier 7s in legendary tiers, that is a lot lower, but it is still there. Yamamoto somewhat broadside to us. We go ahead and let out our round, see if we can go ahead and get revenge for him hitting us earlier, and we take a nice 30k chunk out of him, and you know, do some pretty decent damage to him. Keeping an eye on the Vlad to see if he decides he wants to turn in and pull out around that island, so we can go ahead and bop him when we can. We're gonna go ahead, turn out, and see, just keep increasing our time when we have this time on target with the Vlad. And yeah, this is really the Champagne, guys. Like, you sit in the backfield, you hope your team wins. If you see a shot that you can shoot, you shoot your shot. You can do really good damage if people go broadside to you. You kind of hope you don't get seen. If you do get seen, and you're not properly angled, you pay a very heavy price for it. So that's really the Champagne. She's an interesting ship. One whose playstyle definitely does not fit with the way I like to play. I just don't like the very low DPM and reliance on basically you have to hit citadels in order for this thing to be competitive with its damage output. And in order to hit citadels, that means you need to play players who are completely incompetent. And yes, I know when you play on blue team, you feel like your tier 7 compatriots are incompetent. But, you know, 9 times out of 10, that battleship is just going to go nose in on you. And when they go nose in, you aren't going to be able to do the large damage you need to do, especially if you're going nose in as well and you only have that one frontal turret. Your damage is just not competitive with a lot of the other ships. You have to catch them broadside, and you do have the tools to be able to maneuver to get yourself to those crossfires. But it's a ship that you know, you have the speed to get there, but then is the enemy team going to get there? Are they going to be there? Are they going to push there when you need them to? Do they know you're there? Because, you know, if you fire your gun, once again, if anyone within 20 kilometers of you has a plane up, you are spotted. And, you know, that is the new World of Warships Legends thing, is if you're spotted, you're going to get shot. And unfortunately, you're going to get shot a lot in the Champagne. And, you know, you can go nose in. You can do a very good job protecting yourself. If stuff decides to plunge, your armor may not hold up. But, you know, it is what it is. So, yeah, guys, that's the Champagne. Interesting ship. I'm sure there will be people who love her. She is not the way I like to play, but I understand who she's there for, and I see why she can be a good ship. But to me, she is not one that I will be playing regularly. If I do buy the Admiralty backing, I might just not even favorite her. I might just let her sit in the back and only pick her out when there's events that like give you extra stuff for winning in tier 7 premiums. So yeah, guys, that's Champagne. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. See ya.